A young boy and a cheetah shared a friendship that nothing could ever break. But when the time came to return his best friend to the wild, he faced the most heartbreaking decision of his life. Could their bond survive the journey ahead? Join me as we explore the heartwarming adventure of Duma, 2005. The story begins in the vast wilderness of South Africa. A mother cheetah is being chased by a pride of lions while her cubs watch helplessly from a distance. Sadly, the mother cheetah is caught and killed by the lions, leaving her cubs orphaned. Terrified by the danger around them, the young cubs scatter in different directions. One small cub wanders onto a road. At that moment, a pickup truck happens to be passing by and quickly swerves to avoid hitting the animal. The driver is a farmer named Peter, and his young son is named Zan. Curious about what they saw on the road, Zan asks his father to stop and take a look. When Zan gets closer, he is amazed to discover the tiny cub. As he carefully approaches the animal, a large truck suddenly speeds down the road. Fortunately, Peter pulls Zan out of danger just in time. After making sure they are safe, the father and son examine the cub. Zan immediately falls in love with the little animal and asks where its mother might be. Peter looks around but cannot find any sign of the mother cheetah. He assumes the cub has become separated from its family. Feeling sorry for the orphaned animal, Peter decides to take it with them. Later they stop at a restaurant for a meal. While there, Peter pours some milk into a bottle and asks Zan to feed the cub. The hungry little cheetah eagerly drinks the milk and seems very comfortable around humans. As they observe the animal more closely, Peter notices the distinctive tear-like markings beneath its eyes. He explains to Zan that the cub is actually a cheetah. Zan becomes even more excited. He has heard that cheetahs are the fastest land animals in the world and jokes that the cub might one day run faster than his father's vehicle. Zan begs his father to let him keep the cheetah. Seeing how much his son cares for the animal, and knowing the cub has nowhere else to go, Peter finally agrees. However, he makes Zan promise one important thing. When the cheetah grows up, we must return it to the wild because that is where it truly belongs. Without thinking too much about the future, Zan happily agrees. When they return home the next morning, they introduce the cub to Zan's mother, Kristen. At first, she is shocked to see a wild animal inside her house. She isn't particularly happy about the idea. But after hearing Peter's explanation and seeing how much Zan loves the little cheetah, she eventually softens and allows them to keep it. From that day on, Zan and the cub become inseparable. The cheetah becomes a beloved member of the family. It sleeps on Zan's bed, follows him everywhere, and joins him in almost every activity. A few days later, while looking at the animal, Kristen comes up with the perfect name for the cub. She names it Duma, which means cheetah in the Swahili language. From that moment on, everyone calls the animal Duma. As time passes, Duma grows up surrounded by love and happiness. The entire family adores him. Zan spends nearly every day playing with Duma, while Peter teaches his son valuable life skills such as riding and driving a three-wheeled vehicle. Zan enjoys learning from his father and sharing every adventure with Duma. Together, they play soccer, explore the countryside, and create many wonderful memories. But one day something unexpected happens. Peter suddenly collapses. Terrified, Zan rushes to help his father while Kristen quickly calls for medical assistance. Peter is taken to the hospital. During this difficult time, Zan worries constantly about his father. To keep himself busy and ease his fears, he helps his mother with household chores and spends time around the farm. Fortunately, after some time, Peter recovers and returns home. Seeing his parents together again brings a smile back to Zan's face. He believes everything will soon return to normal. A few days later, Peter takes Zan out with their three-wheeled vehicle to train Duma. As Duma chases after the vehicle, he runs with incredible speed. Zan records the moment and watches in amazement. He has always known that cheetahs are the fastest animals on land, but seeing Duma sprint with his own eyes is something completely different. Duma is unbelievably fast. However, happiness never lasts forever. One evening, while the family is sitting together, Peter gently tells his son something he doesn't want to hear. Duma is grown up now, he says. It's time for him to return to the wild. He belongs in nature. But Zan isn't ready to let go. For him, Duma is more than just a wild animal. Duma is his best friend. Peter explained to Zan that Duma was a wild animal and belonged in the wild. If they kept him for too long, it would become harder for him to survive on his own because he would get used to humans and would never learn how to hunt. Therefore, Duma needed to be returned to the wilderness while there was still time. Although Zan nodded and pretended to agree, deep inside he did not want to let Duma go. Peter even showed him a map and explained where Duma should eventually be released. After that, they went to bed. That night, Zan suddenly woke up to the sound of police sirens outside the house. He rushed downstairs and found his mother standing there in shock. When he asked where his father was, she could not answer. Instead, she hugged him tightly. The truth was heartbreaking. Peter had fallen ill again and had passed away. The next day, the family held Peter's funeral. Everyone was overwhelmed with grief. After losing his father, Zan was never the same. The farmhouse that had once been full of laughter now felt empty and silent. Duma seemed to understand Zan's sadness. He stayed close to him all the time, whether Zan was sitting by the water or walking through the fields. Duma never left his side. One day, Zan's mother told him that after Peter's death, they could no longer stay on the farm. They would have to move to the city and live with her sister, Gwen. Zan did not want to leave the farm, but his mother explained that she needed to find work in the city so she could support them. When Zan asked about Duma, she said she would find a zoo or wildlife facility with enough space for him to live safely. Zan strongly disagreed because that was not what his father had wanted. However, he eventually had no choice but to accept the decision. A few days later, they packed their belongings into a truck and left for the city. Duma sat behind Zan during the journey, looking around curiously. Zan remained quiet and refused to talk, even though his mother tried to comfort him by saying that things would get better with time. When they arrived, Gwen welcomed them into her home. However, she was shocked to discover that they had brought a cheetah with them. After hearing their explanation, she reluctantly agreed to let Duma stay temporarily until another place could be found for him. Soon afterward, Zan was enrolled in a new school. Before he entered the building, his mother encouraged him to make new friends and adjust to his new life. Zan did not respond and simply walked inside. Back at the house, Gwen was left alone with Duma. Curious about his new surroundings, Duma began exploring every corner of the home. By accident, he bit the television remote control, turning on the TV. The loud sounds and flashing images frightened him. Panicking, Duma started running around the house, knocking things over and creating a huge mess. Gwen became terrified and ran outside, accidentally leaving the front door open. Seeing the open door, Duma escaped. Using his keen sense of smell, he followed the scent of Zan's mother's vehicle all the way to Zan's school. Eventually, Duma found the classroom where Zan was studying and appeared outside the window. When Zan looked up and saw his beloved cheetah, he was shocked and immediately wanted to run outside to meet him. However, his teacher stopped him because class was still in session. While Zan was trying to get outside to find Duma, the school's fire alarm suddenly went off. All the students were evacuated, and Zan took the opportunity to search for his cheetah. However, there was no fire. Someone had reported seeing a cheetah on school grounds, and several police officers arrived to capture the animal. Zan saw Duma run into a restroom and followed him. He called out for Duma, but instead of finding him, he ran into 3 bullies who surrounded him and demanded money. When Zan refused, they began pushing and beating him. At that moment, Duma realized his owner was in trouble. He emerged from hiding and approached the group. The bullies panicked the moment they saw the cheetah and immediately ran away. Relieved and happy to see Duma, Zan quickly escaped with him. Despite the police searching everywhere, the two managed to get away. While crossing busy streets, Duma nearly got hit by a car. Fortunately, his incredible speed allowed him to avoid the accident. Later, Duma hid inside a park. After searching for a while, Zan finally spotted him peeking out from a small opening. At that moment, Zan made an important decision. He would return Duma to the wild. If the police captured him, Duma would end up in a zoo and lose his freedom forever. Zan secretly returned to his family's old farm. There, he took his father's motorcycle and prepared for a journey to the place his father had marked on a map as the perfect location to release Duma. Before leaving, he wrote a letter to his mother. When she read it, she became extremely worried. Her son was traveling alone with a cheetah across the African wilderness. Zan and Duma continued their journey. They traveled a great distance, but their destination was still far away. Zan asked Duma if he wanted to keep going. Duma responded with a sound, and Zan took it as a yes. Eventually, they reached a desert area where the motorcycle ran out of fuel. Though discouraged, Zan refused to give up. He checked his compass and confirmed that they were still heading in the right direction. The little water they had left was shared equally between Zan and Duma. Afterward, Zan pushed the motorcycle forward by hand. Exhausted, they eventually discovered an old abandoned airplane in the middle of the wilderness. Since it provided shelter and shade, they decided to spend the night there. The next morning, Zan heard strange noises outside. When he investigated, he found a man attempting to take his motorcycle. The man's name was Ripkuna, a wandering traveler who lived in the wilderness. He was surprised to find a young boy stranded in such a remote place. Zan explained that the motorcycle belonged to him and told the man about his mission. When Ripkuna noticed Duma, he immediately stepped back in fear. Zan asked if he had any water. Ripkuna replied that he did, but he wanted something in exchange. Zan promised that the man could have the motorcycle if he shared his water. Ripkuna agreed and handed over the water. After Zan and Duma finished drinking, Ripkuna discovered that the motorcycle had no fuel left. Surprisingly, he was not angry and continued talking with Zan. During their conversation, Zan noticed a small animal inside Ripkuna's bag. Ripkuna explained that the creature was lost just like he was, and that he was taking care of it. Then Ripkuna delivered some bad news. The nearest river was about 5 days away on foot. If they ran out of food and water before reaching it, survival would become extremely difficult. He even suggested that, in the worst-case scenario, they might have to kill one of the animals for food. Zan immediately rejected the idea. To him, Duma was not just an animal, he was a friend and a member of the family. No matter what happened, Zan was determined to protect him. While Zan was stranded in the middle of the desert, his mother, Kristen, was extremely worried about him. She printed missing person notices and posted them everywhere, hoping someone would help find her son. However, she still received no information about Zan's whereabouts. Later, Zan noticed the wreckage of an old airplane and felt the strong desert wind blowing across the open land. Suddenly, he came up with an idea. Using parts of the motorcycle and some fabric from the wreckage, he created a makeshift sail. When the wind blew strongly, it pushed the motorcycle forward across the desert without needing any fuel. Ripkuna was amazed and asked Zan where he had learned such a clever trick. Zan replied that his father had taught him many useful survival skills before he passed away. The wind-powered motorcycle carried them a long distance until the wind eventually died down. The scorching heat left Zan exhausted and dehydrated. Seeing this, Ripkuna began digging into the ground in search of water. After several hours of hard work, he finally discovered an underground water source. Both Zan and Duma happily drank the water and regained their strength. Not long afterward, they spotted a wild ostrich. Since they were hungry, Zan encouraged Duma to hunt it. However, Duma had been raised by humans and never learned how to hunt properly. Instead of catching the ostrich, he returned with 3 large ostrich eggs. Ripkuna laughed and joked that Duma was supposed to be a powerful predator, yet he couldn't even catch an ostrich. Still, the eggs provided much-needed food for the group. As they continued their journey, Ripkuna suggested that they could become rich by selling Duma. Wealthy people would pay a fortune for a trained cheetah like him. Zan immediately rejected the idea. Duma was not a possession to be sold, he was Zan's best friend. Zan refused to betray him for money. When they checked the map again, Ripkuna realized that Zan's destination required crossing a dangerous river filled with crocodiles and other deadly animals. He warned Zan that the journey ahead would be extremely risky. Zan, however, remained determined. He believed that courage, intelligence, and perseverance would help them overcome any obstacle. That evening, Ripkuna decided to continue helping Zan on his journey. They built a campfire and rested for the night. Ripkuna explained that lions are usually afraid of fire, so keeping the flames burning would help protect them while they slept. The next morning, they resumed their journey. While checking his compass, Zan noticed something strange. Ripkuna seemed to be leading them south instead of west, which was the direction they were supposed to travel. Although suspicious, Zan continued following him. Eventually, they arrived at an abandoned settlement filled with old vehicles, ruined buildings, and scattered bones. Ripkuna explained that many people had once believed they could survive in the harsh desert, but in the end, they perished there. Suddenly, they heard the sound of a helicopter searching overhead. Zan wanted to run out and signal for help, but Ripkuna stopped him, warning that it could bring trouble. What neither of them knew was that the helicopter had actually been hired by Kristen, who was desperately searching for her missing son. That night, as they sat beside the campfire, Ripkuna began talking about cheetahs. He asked Zan if he knew why cheetahs have black tear-like marks beneath their eyes. Zan explained the scientific reason. The dark markings help reduce the sun's glare, allowing cheetahs to see better while hunting during the day. Ripkuna smiled and shared an old legend instead. Long ago, a mother cheetah lost her cubs. She cried so much that her tears left permanent black marks beneath her eyes. From that day forward, all cheetahs inherited those marks as a reminder of a mother's love for her children. Although it was only a legend, the story carried a beautiful message about the deep bond between a mother and her child. And with that, Zan, Duma, and Ripkuna prepared to continue their dangerous adventure the following morning. moving one step closer to Duma's true home in the wild. As Zan and Duma continued their journey, they arrived at an old abandoned mine. Ripkuna knew that the place once contained diamonds, so he asked to take a quick look inside. Leaving Sean and Duma outside, he entered the mine in search of valuable gems. Zan was still upset about being deceived and no longer trusted Ripkuna. He decided to leave with Duma. However, just as they were walking away, Sean heard Ripkuna shouting for help. Unable to ignore him, Zan returned to see what had happened. Inside the mine, he found Ripkuna trapped beneath a collapse of sand and rocks. Zan dug away some of the debris to help him breathe. Afterward, he demanded to know why Ripkuna had lied to him. Ripkuna finally confessed that he had planned to take Zan south in order to collect the reward offered for the missing boy. Zan was furious. Feeling betrayed, he left Ripkuna behind. However, he left a shovel nearby so that the man could try to free himself. Soon afterward, Zan and Duma reached a dangerous river. Zan built a small raft from wood and other materials so they could cross safely. Neither of them realized that crocodiles were watching from the water. Duma seemed uneasy, but he trusted Sean and climbed onto the raft. As they floated toward the middle of the river, they encountered strong currents and rough water. The raft began shaking violently before finally breaking apart, throwing both of them into the river. The crocodiles immediately swam toward them, sensing prey. Fortunately, Zan and Duma managed to swim to shore before the predators could reach them. Once they reached land, they embraced each other with relief, grateful to have survived. A short while later, Zan noticed the small animal that had been traveling with them had also made it across the river. He happily brought it along and continued deeper into the forest. Not long after entering the forest, they encountered a herd of aggressive wild buffalo. The animals charged at them, forcing Zan and Duma to split up. Zan hid among the trees while Duma distracted the buffalo and led them away. When the danger had passed, Zan searched for Duma. Unknown to him, Duma had been caught in a trap. Meanwhile, Zan wandered through the forest until he encountered a wild boar. The boar charged at him, knocking him down and causing him to lose consciousness. When Zan finally woke up, he was surprised to see Duma and Ripkuna beside him. Ripkuna explained that he had rescued Zan and freed Duma from the trap. The following morning, Ripkuna gathered fruits and food for everyone. Zan apologized for abandoning him. In return, Ripkuna admitted that he truly had intended to sell Duma for money. He then shared the story of his life. When he was young, he left his village in search of success in the city. Unfortunately, things did not go as planned. He made poor choices, ended up in prison, and became disillusioned with his dreams. Zan confessed that he had run away from his mother and feared that she might no longer love him. Ripkuna reassured him that parents never stop loving their children, no matter what happens. When Sean asked how he could be so sure, Ripkuna smiled and replied, "Because I am a father too." After that heartfelt conversation, the three companions continued their journey toward their destination. As they continued their journey, Duma spotted an antelope in the distance. Instinctively, he chased after it, hoping to catch it for food. However, since he had never truly learned how to hunt, he failed to catch the animal. The antelope escaped, leaving Zan and Ripkuna disappointed. They realized that fruit was still their only source of food. They continued traveling until nightfall. As darkness settled in, they discovered a group of foreign tourists camping in the forest. The tourists were enjoying a lively party with music, dancing, and plenty of food. Ripkuna wondered if there was a way to get some of that food. Zan smiled and said he had a plan. The next morning, Zan approached the campsite pretending to be badly injured. Concerned, the tourists rushed over to help him. Suddenly, Zan lifted his shirt and revealed his unusual appearance, causing the frightened tourists to panic and run away from the camp. Once the campsite was empty, Ripkuna quickly gathered food and supplies that could last for several days. The group then left the area before anyone returned. Later, they found a boat and decided to continue their journey by water. As they floated downstream, they ate, talked, and enjoyed each other's company. Zan offered Ripkuna a bundle of money as a reward for helping him. At first, Ripkuna refused to accept it. However, Zan jokingly threatened to throw the money into the river if he did not take it. Eventually, Ripkuna accepted the gift. In return, he gave Zan several stones he had found inside the mine. He was not sure whether they were diamonds or not, but he thought they would make a meaningful souvenir. Later, Zan played a prank by pretending to be dead on the boat. Ripkuna was terrified and repeatedly called his name. When Zan suddenly sat up and revealed that it was only a joke, Ripkuna could not help but laugh. After leaving the boat behind, they continued on foot. Along the way, they came across the carcass of a dead animal. Duma immediately rushed over and began feeding on it. Zan wanted to stop him, but Ripkuna explained that this was part of Duma's true nature. They had brought him back to the wild so that he could live as a wild animal. Watching from a distance, Zan realized that Duma was finally becoming what he was meant to be. To lighten the mood, Ripkuna placed his hat on Duma's head. The sight of the cheetah wearing a hat was both hilarious and adorable, making Zan laugh again. Later they entered a cave. Ripkuna explained that he used to visit this place with his father and grandfather when he was young. Reflecting on the past, he spoke about how life is filled with loss. The people we love and cherish eventually leave us one by one. With sadness in his voice, Zan asked why people meet each other only to be separated in the end. Ripkuna gently explained that every person has a limited time in life. What truly matters is how they spend that time and whether they live it with purpose and love. That night, Ripkuna told Zan that he planned to return to his village and reunite with his family. He also encouraged Zan to go back to his mother. Christina had already lost her husband, and she was undoubtedly heartbroken over her missing son as well. Zan replied that he was no longer the same boy who had run away from home. Ripkuna smiled and said that was exactly why he could return home now, because he had grown, changed, and become stronger. The next day they resumed their journey. Suddenly, Ripkuna noticed a swarm of dangerous stinging insects flying toward them. He shouted for Zan to run, but it was already too late. Without hesitation, Ripkuna pushed Zan to the ground, covered him with his jacket, and used his own body as a shield. The insects attacked him relentlessly, stinging his face and body over and over again. By the time the swarm finally left, Zan was unharmed. However, Ripkuna was badly injured. His face was swollen and his body was covered with painful stings. Even so, he refused to give up and continued walking beside Sean. That night, they spotted a pride of lions nearby. Ripkuna knew that fire was their best protection. Unfortunately, rain began pouring down, making it impossible to start a fire. Desperate, Ripkuna told Zan to burn the money he had given him earlier. Although it hurt to destroy it, Zan had no other choice. He burned the banknotes one by one until a small flame finally appeared. They quickly added dry grass and wood to the fire, and before long, it grew into a strong blaze. With the fire burning brightly, the lions kept their distance, and the travelers remained safe through the night. Ripkuna's condition became more serious as the poison and injuries weakened him. He gradually began to lose consciousness. Seeing this, Zan tied Duma to a post and rushed off to find help. However, Duma refused to stay still. Seeing lions wandering nearby, the young tiger bit through the rope and ran away, deliberately attracting the lions' attention. Since tigers are faster than lions, Duma successfully lured the predators away, protecting Ripkuna from danger. Meanwhile, Zan reached a small village and met an elderly man. Although they did not speak the same language, Zan managed to explain that someone was badly injured and needed urgent help. The old man quickly gathered villagers and followed Zan back to the campsite. When they arrived, they found Ripkuna in critical condition. The villagers carried him back to the village and treated him using traditional herbal medicine and healing rituals. The next morning, Zan sat quietly, worried about Duma's disappearance. The village children and elders were fascinated by the young boy who had traveled through such dangerous wilderness. Later, Ripkuna finally regained consciousness. To everyone's surprise, the villagers immediately recognized him. He was actually one of their own people who had left the village many years ago. The villagers called his parents, wife, and children to reunite with him. When his wife saw him again, tears filled her eyes with joy. Ripkuna sincerely apologized for abandoning his family years earlier. Watching this emotional reunion made Zan think deeply about his own mother. Later that day, Zan wandered outside and suddenly spotted Duma. The young tiger was running alongside another tiger, learning how to hunt. Together they caught prey and shared the meal. From a distance, Zan realized that his mission had finally succeeded. Duma had returned to his true home. He had found companionship, learned to hunt, and could now survive in the wild on his own. Although Zan felt sad, he accepted the reality that Duma belonged in the wilderness. Before leaving, Duma ran over and played with Zan one last time. After spending their final moments together, Zan tearfully said goodbye to his beloved friend. Ripkuna helped Zan recover his motorcycle, refueled it, and prepared him for the journey home. When Zan finally arrived at the farm, he saw his mother. The moment she saw her son, she ran toward him and embraced him tightly. It was a reunion filled with love, relief, and happiness. Zan had come to understand the depth of a mother's love, while his mother never held any anger toward him. What mattered most was that her son had returned home safely. At the same time, Duma was running freely through the forest, living happily in the land where he truly belonged. And that's how the incredible journey of Duma comes to an end. It's more than just a story about a boy and a cheetah. It's a touching reminder that true love sometimes means letting go for the happiness of the one you care about the most. If you enjoyed this movie recap, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next adventure. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next movie recap.